Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome back to the Underground Cave for another exciting paint along. Now, tonight we will continue and hopefully finish our Nor'rOkk the Ettin from Reaper miniatures 07065 for anybody keeping score. This will be part 4 and the final installment for our Sunday night paint along. And as always, I will post these paint alongs on YouTube. Then I will post the links on Discord. So for anybody that wants to see this in its entirety and paint at their own pace, you can grab those links on the Discord under the paint alongs for 2024. You can always find out which minis that we will be painting and the colors that we'll be using for that particular miniature on Discord. !Discord gets you into the channel, and then you can look for those miniatures, and you can also look for any past miniatures and color schemes and those YouTube videos as well. I also have the Thursday night paint alongs from last year, 2023. So if you want to practice your painting along, you want to use some of the techniques that I've been using, just follow along the paint alongs. If you do use the YouTube video, however, you can't ask me questions, so it's always worth trying to do these paint along with me. If you ask me questions, it slows me down, so that and then you can start at understanding some of the tools that I use. So tonight, I have a couple of announcements. Tonight is the last Sunday night paint along for 2024. I will be moving these paint alongs to either Tuesday after our technical tryouts or on Thursdays. So last year we did Thursday night paint alongs. We might go back to that. So please check the Discord for the schedule, for any other minis that we will be working on for the foreseeable future. And again, I will also tell you what basic color palettes there are, and I will tell you the paints that I'm using. So if you want to grab those paints and try along with me, you can do so. Hopefully, if you've been doing these paint alongs relatively, since I've been doing them, you probably have a plethora of paints already in your inventory. My next announcement is that there will be no paint alongs for June. I haven't signified a miniature for that, so we are going to forego the month of June. So don't look for a paint along there. We'll get to recoup and stuff. I will also set up a little list going forward. We're going to try to do one for the combined months of July and August, because in July I'm not here a couple of those weeks, and also in August I'm gone for the final week of August. So we're going to try to combine July and August to get those 4 weeks in there, maybe 5 weeks to get those in there. So again, check the Discord, but we will be back up and running again for September. So if you're trying to get all of your eggs in a basket and try to order stuff, make sure that you get those for September, and then the month of September we'll do something fun and exciting. And my last announcement tonight is that this is a final programming note, that there will be no more Sunday nights streams, nor will there be Friday night streams. My schedule is going back to Tuesdays and Thursday nights for the summer. And if it stays that way for the rest of the year, then that's what it stays. If not, I may put in another day, but at least for the summer, it's Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Please check the schedule down there. I did put the start times. I think one starts at 7, the other one starts at 8, or maybe they both start at 8. So yeah, check that out. That's going in the foreseeable future, starting this Tuesday. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my stream nights now. There will be no more Friday or Sunday night streams. This is the final Sunday night stream for at least the foreseeable future. So that takes care of all of my announcements. So if you have your paints and your brushes and all the other tools that we need, let's get painting. Oh, we have a new sponsor that I found over at in Maine when I went to the Huzzah convention. This is We Wolf Miniatures. We Wolf Miniatures is got a lot of historic miniatures, and they're getting into sort of the fantasy uh, miniatures as well. So I'll show you some of the things that made me. I'm going to shout folks out, local talent like this when I see it, but this is old time casting and modeling from metal miniatures. So they do metal miniatures. We Wolf Miniatures, more historical, but they are getting into the fantasy. If you want to see who they are, it's wewolfminiatures.com. You can find them and email them at wewolf.minis@gmail.com. And they make very fine 28 millimeter miniatures. And to show you kind of what they have, I have a website to share with you. So let's quickly see what this is. This is wewolfminiatures.com. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole website. You are more than welcome to check this out, but it looks like they got some of the Franco-Prussian War minis, Great Northern War, but the one that I want to feature is this Land of Oz, and the miniatures that they had out and about were these, whoops, where are they? Oh, these Corvi miniatures. So these are some blue, they did these in Blue Jays, but they also have the same make and model for Cardinals. So he had these printed up as Blue Jays or painted up, I should say, not printed up as Blue Jays. And so I kind of really like these. They got some Raven miniatures. So here's a shaman. So this, although I don't know if this is an actual bird, but here you can get the Wicked Witch of the West. There she is. Again, all metal miniatures. She's got the hour clock. But there's a take. There's a take on her. She has her little guards with her. So let me see. Here's the warlocks. Let's see. Is there any? He must not have any pictures of what I saw. But this Land of Oz here is the Corvi. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So here's all the Blue Jay. These are the Corvi's miniatures. There's the Cardinal. Absolutely love these miniatures. And they were very well painted up. So yeah, give them a quick look out. They got ravens, they got crows, they got he's coming out with rooks. So page 2. So he doesn't have pictures of them yet, but keep checking in with We Wolf Miniatures. So that is that's the first sponsor we have. I'll throw that up again. WeWolfMiniatures.com. Old casty prints. That's the first one. The second one I got came in on Friday, but now I found a card. This is Wargaming Recon, wargamingrecon.com. This is done by a gentleman. For 20 years he's been doing podcasts about the tabletop gaming industry, the miniature painting, the role playing, the wargaming on tabletop. So it's really worth your time to check them out. And again, I have that website for you as well. Boom. There we go. Wargaming Recon. This is their website. You can follow them through, find out when their podcasts are. They were doing a little podcast for Rising Phoenix. It's a local convention out here in Massachusetts. But we have Katana Ra role-playing game design. We have Secret and Successes convention games. So this gentleman goes all the way to different conventions, creates podcasts. He does also local talks to the mini painters, the creators. Go check out Wargaming Recon and throw yourself a like. Remember, if you do happen to join in anything or purchase anything from anybody, just let them know Gel Tip sent you, and Wargaming Recon might know who I am. So don't be afraid to say, hey, Gel Tip told me to check you out. Let me give you a listen. And so that is my two unofficial sponsors for today. I hope you enjoyed them. We Wolf Miniatures and Wargaming Recon. Okay, let's get into this guy. This is who we're painting. Now, the thing I want to do today is I kind of like more of the shading that I've got here. So I want to, today we're going to make him Tabletop Plus, but before we do that, I do want to fix the back of him because on camera he looks a little purple, and this is supposed to be the shaded area, so at least I know where to paint the shaded area stuff, but I need to bring it out a little bit brighter. So I might have taken it too dark in the back when we were doing play with our values, and we ended up bringing more of the flesh tone into here to not make him so albino looking. So what we didn't do is put more flesh into here, more flesh tone into here. So we're going to work on the back skin a little bit. And then remember that piece I couldn't find? Well, I made shift a piece out of a toothpick, and I put some stuff in there. So that now looks a little bit better. I'll have to fix that up. But there's some things we're going to do on here. We're going to do some face. We're going to do some grungy fingernails and do something with this fur. It looks very plain. So we're going to do all kinds of stuff. Plus, we'll give him either a tattoo or a little war band. I was like thinking maybe a war band around him. So we'll have to kind of figure out where we're going to go with that. All right. And that warband can be any type of color. We don't have to stick to our color palette because we want it to kind of be more, pronounced, and we want it to be there. But the rest of the overall color scheme uses the same colors. And what are those colors, you might ask? Well, we're going to get into that. Let's get into the colors that we're going to use today and what we have been using. We'll start with our little Citadel color because he's the only one. That's Demonette Hide. This is a muted purple base. That's what we were looking for. We wanted something purpley gray because we don't want to pronounce it, but this goes into our flesh tone. So we're going to use that. And we're going to warm up that flesh tone using some purple from Monument Hobbies, Pro Acryl paint, and Rosy Highlight from Reaper 09069. So some Rosy Highlight, some purple, and Demonette Hide. That's what we're going to use to fix the flesh colors. We always have our black and white. So today's black and white is brought to you by Reaper Miniatures, MSP. We're using this solid white and solid black, 09478 and 09479. So we got those colors. And then the final Reaper color we're using today is 09411, which is Wilderness Green. We'll see if we can get some green in there. I think I might actually put some green in for some of the dirty fingernails, grimy fingernails. Speaking about fingernails, we're going to need some of this yellow ochre. So we need yellow ochre, that dark brown, which is mahogany. That's more of a reddish brown to kind of combat some of the green that we have in there, because red and green are complementary colors. And we also have some bright ivory, so there's a nice color triad right there for wood and for fur and stuff. So we're going to take up the fur notch a little bit. And last but not least, some silver from Pro Acryl. Those are our paints that we've been using and we will continue to use. I don't think I forgot any. So if you are ready, let's get some music on really quick. And let's see. I need this, right? Yes. And I need this. And I was thinking I was thinking we would go a little on the metal side. There we go. Hopefully it's not too loud for you. If it is too loud for you, please let me know. I will turn it down. We always want to hear what's going on. And you want to hear me and ask me questions and hear the answer. I'm going to get some of my 3 flesh tones. We're going to go right to the flesh tones because I just don't like the hard edges that I have for the shade. So I want to fix up that shade, get it a little bit more blended down. We don't want to make it as bright because remember, we still want our light source to be sort of like, I think it's right there, right? I did the back at some point. So we want the light source to kind of be respected. There might be a little bit more highlights that have to be added in, but this is Tabletop Plus material now. We got through Tabletop. We got all the colors in there. He's great for the table now. Let's flesh him out. I'm going to use a lot of this rosy highlight. So let's get as much as we can on there. That's one well that we'll pull from. And the next pool that we're going to pull from is some purple from Monument Hobbies. It's more of a reddish purple, which combats the green. I don't need a lot of that, but I do want to warm up some of my purpley gray, and this is my dark purple. Now I can add dark blue or black, but we don't want to. And to do this, I'm actually going to thin this out because this is some Citadel paint. So I'm going to throw a little bit of contrast medium or Magic Merlin medium, whatever you want to say, glaze medium, right on the palette. And since I put 3 in there, I'm just going to keep filling it until I think it's thin enough. So we're just going to stick a whole glob in there and just kind of move it around, press it down. Looks a little watery, so we'll do it again. Usually I think it's like a 4-to-3 mixture, but I used quite a bit, so let's see what that does. See how that runs. So there's one paint. Put this one next to it and see what it does. Oops. And I might need a little bit more of that purple in there. Let's see. Alright, that should be good. Alright. So the trick here is we want this flesh tone here. Let me move all these paints out of my way so that you don't have to see those paints in my way. All right, and so the thing we want to do here is this is the flesh tone, right? And I am going to put a little bit of ivory out, and I'm going to put a little bit of black out. Not black. Put a little bit of mahogany out, and I'm almost out of mahogany here. Let's see if I can get any out of this bottle. I had to take the top off to see if I could get any out. There might not be any left in. Oh. All right, there we go. All right, so we got some mahogany here. We got some ivory. I don't know if I'm going to need those just yet. Let's start with this color. And so this is my main color. So what I want to do, because this is all my shade tone right here, what I want to do is I'm going to start with this color a little bit. Right, this is in there. And I'm going to actually warm it up with some of the purple. Now remember, this color that we have here, all we did was start adding in that rosy highlight so that we kept getting a triad between the rosy highlight and the Damonite hide. Now I'm going to introduce a new color to blend this all in, which is sort of this warmer purple. And then what I want to do is add in a little bit of my rosy highlight to kind of get that light purpley color. And this is what I'm going to go through and do on the muscles back here. And I'm just going to stay more towards the top. I'm going to leave that shadow we started with, but I'm just going to do the tops of these muscles because I want them to be just a little bit lighter than what I have, because it really looks like he's standing in front of a cave and there's these little, I don't know what you want to call it, like very stark contrasts. And so I'm gonna just kind of hit those edge lines with this. This isn't a glaze, this is me painting the tops of muscles with this nice warm purple color. So I'm gonna try to stay on screen as much as I can, but if it looks like it's, remember the light is going kind of the same angle, right? That's where I kind of want the light coming in from. So like kind of where this angle is. I mean, I know we offset it to show, but kind of that angle. So if it looks like that's where you want to paint up towards. So just kind of like follow a little parallel to that club, right? So kind of have all of this muscle right here just kind of be in that light color, but I'm not doing all of this muscle, so there is some of that highlight still going through, and you still have that shade to give some definition. So right now all we're doing is getting some of that upper muscle area to be just a little bit more warm and highlighted so we can blend it in a little bit more. So like kind of where this neck is, I can see that I probably want to do a little bit more on this neck. And right here on the head. And where I broke his arm, I'm just going to kind of touch this up a little bit. Now when I'm on the sides, I don't have to worry too much about keeping that very dark line. I can make this as purple as I want right here in the areas, because the light is hitting here and it's just getting shaded ever so slightly. So maybe I want to do something like this. So like right in here where this is kind of really Damonite hide, I can warm it up with that purple shade a little bit. Doesn't have to be the Damonite hide. And there's a reason that you can do this, because we're going to actually highlight with this color. We're going to add more of this flesh tone in, so it's always nice to have that darkness already with your flesh tone in there. Or your highlight, I should say. So like right here, in the back of his neck, this may not get light. It may get some bounce light, so we'll make the bottom of this a little bit more purple. We'll make this in here just a little bit warmer purple. But I can leave the rest of this in dark shade because no light's gonna hit in there. We can already start to see a little bit more blending going on. Go. Do the same thing on his foot back here. Just put some right there. And what I'm going to do is follow the light with that club. So that club, I'm just doing things parallel, right? So like right here, the tops of this muscle, tops of this muscle. This might just get a point right there. And then all in here. This might get some bounce light in here from the fingers, so we'll just add a little bit of bounce light. And what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna do the part of the hand next to the club because that's directly opposite the light. So I'll keep that dark, but I'll make all of this much lighter in tone. So that's where that contrast comes from. So you don't have to do all of that darkness. We didn't do anything wrong. We have some darkness where we don't need darkness. Same thing with this hand over here. This could probably see some extra light, even though we're not seeing it. We want to make sure that I'll do this finger here. And then I can leave the rest of that hand pointing down as the dark color, so that way it gives a definition of, okay, so I see where light is coming from. Now, down here, some light might be coming in to these recesses here, so I'll just do in between these fingers here. They don't have to be super dark. Since I have the back of the hand dark already, we'll get some definition in there. Again, you could have left it the way we had it, but we're taking this just a little bit more in a tabletop plus manner. So kind of like I'm using this lighter purple anywhere there's shade in the light source. So like here where we have this gray, it looks nice, but let's warm that up with some of this regular warm purple, because this is in the light, but we still want that definition. Right. So let's see. Do right in here a little bit. This looks like it's supposed to be kind of dark. I'm not doing everywhere in the light, just kind of like where this light purple would get most the bounce light in. So like probably these feet right here, I'll leave the back of the foot darker a little bit. And then this right in here. You don't have to worry too much right now about if you're getting it on the flesh. You don't want to get in the middle of the flesh. But what I'm doing right now is just making that line of, okay, this is where my light is going to hit, and this is what I'm going to highlight more of. So all this stuff here, I mean, this is technically right in the back of him, so I don't need too much. I don't have to do too much here. And I didn't really need to put anything here. I could highlight with this just a little bit. I don't necessarily need to highlight this. There we go. All right, that looks good. And I'll just kind of fix up some of the chain that we got on here. So this is the stage where you want to fix up any mistakes that you might have made in color, or you got some metal on a skin tone. So that's kind of what you want to do here. Like, for example, I'll show you really quick. This is brown over here, and I don't want it to be brown, so I'm going to just kind of give a nice little black edge to my silver here. There we go. All right. So that's that color right there, and that is my demonite hide, a little bit of the purple, and a little bit of the flesh tone. And I may need to come back to this, so I'm just gonna grab some of this. I probably should have made a recipe for this, but I'm gonna leave it on here in case I need it. I can probably make it again. And I'm gonna add a little bit more of that flesh tone. And we're going to redo kind of what we've done before. About, you know, not a lot, but you want to kind of just hit those highlights in the same manner, just in a smaller area. So this club's going to be in my way, but hopefully you'll be able to see on camera what I'm doing. So I want to paint towards the light. Paint up towards the light. And like I said, what we were doing before was we glazed over with that flesh tone, but we never added the flesh tone to the back shading. So that's kind of what we're doing now. We're adding that flesh tone to the back shading. And you kind of really want to get towards the light spots that we already have established. And we will establish more light spots as we go. So we'll do some of the skull. And each time I do this, I'm just painting a small portion of what I just got done painting. Like I'm leaving some of the original color in there. So you don't want to do a lot. You just want to do it so that it signifies a highlight. In the shaded area. We'll do we'll do the tops of each knuckle, and we'll come through each knuckle, or finger I should say. Gonna leave the inside alone. I'm just going to kind of come out in here. Things are looking pretty good, I think. Do the tops of these feet. Looks like he's got some really bony or something going on here. Hopefully it's not a bad sculpt. Inside this foot right here. All right. Probably should have waited on this. I think I did that too dark. Do this hand a little bit more. All right. I'm going to take that color again, and I'm going to add more of the flesh tone to it. I'm going to add 2 flesh tones, really bump it up, and get next to that highlight color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the lightest part and work my way to the shaded part. So this is going to be just slightly darker than our lightest spot. So I'm going to work towards the front of the miniature and then kind of towards the back. So we're going to get his face here to look a little bit more flesh tony, but let it look like it's in the shade part rather than. And this is mostly on the side, so I'm just doing the side of the miniature right now. This is the mixing side, so there's a reason I put in more flesh tone into this, because this is sort of the side that blends the light to the shade. So like if somebody turns the miniature this way, they'll still see a darker flesh tone, but it's away from the light. It's on the side of the light. So you can see it in this leg, it gets light and then eventually it kind of turns more towards the shade because it's going away from the light, right? That's kind of what we want here. And if you wanted to get fancy, you could do this front side of the toe light, the left side or the back side that shaded color. So I'm just looking at this. So this is not in light, so we'll just make it this. Now, if I wanted to, I could add, I didn't have to add that much flesh tone to it. So I could have just added one and just kept building up. But this way, if I'm doing the side and then I'm doing the back, I can always kind of come back down a shade in the back to bring it all together. So that's kind of why, that's my thinking as far as why I went 2 flesh tones instead of just the one. But I'm still trying to stay as close as I can to the light when I paint things on. So like right here on the top of his head, I'm just going to kind of blend in that light spot versus the dark spot, but still keeping some of the dark to show the texture of the bald head. And so now you get to see a little bit more So I have to kind of bring this out just a little bit. Blend this down just a tad bit because it looks like it's a mask. We don't want it to be a mask. I want this to be in the shade. There we go. And do the top here the same way. Again, it's all the same colors we've been using. But now you're just kind of throwing in a little bit of blending to that shade tone. I think that's a tag or a band. So I'm taking this shade color and I'm moving from the highlighted area into the shade area, painting over that little edge line so that when you look at it, when you turn it, what we're trying to do is see if we can get a nice blend of that's in the shade, that's now in the light. That's what we want. So if there was any question of why we were doing something, that's what we're doing. So the tops of these fingers might see a little bit of the shade because it's not directly in the light. But we still want a finger there. And we don't want that harsh line. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm trying to get this blended in just a little bit more than it really is. And I'm not glazing, I'm just painting in the muscles in this shade, sort of highlight color. And you'll know when something doesn't look right because you just have to keep spinning it and spinning it until you're like, oh no, I need a stronger highlight there, or I need a shade tone there. But because you're using all three of the colors, you can go anywhere that you want to go. All right, let's see. We're gonna glaze this afterward, but just figured now's the time to get this more blended down so that things look a little bit better. Fix this up just by adding in a little bit more of this lighter gray. And we'll do the same thing here. So I think I want to stay on this side of the finger. Now you could totally keep glazing towards the shaded area, but unless you have that sketch of knowing where to go, it's kind of difficult. And so I'm just going to kind of hit inside here. Right? So that's how you kind of make things a little bit more transition-y. I just keep adding some of that color and finding those highlights. Right here is a good spot to do that. So you'll get to see this in a second, but if I do it here, so you don't have such a hard edge. Oh, we have fish to do today too. We have a lot to do, but I wanted to make sure we got some of this skin tone blended in just a little bit more than what we had. All right. And now you can start to see how it gets a little bit darker down here, right? I'm just gonna kind of hit a little bit up here. I don't need it here. This isn't really necessary, but I just kind of want to get a little bit of definition between this and those green bands. Do a little bit right here. Just tiny bits. Right here where this muscle is, just tiny bits. Connect that into the edge there. So when I'm looking at it from the side now, it's not so stark. It's kind of gradually going to like either the darkness or the right, because you want the gradual to be this way so that there doesn't seem to be too much of a starkness going on here, which is good. Then you want this to be darker. So I think we have a much better, see, that looks much more like it's in the shade than what we had before. All right. What I'm going to do is add a little bit more warm purple to this mixture right here. And, oh, nope. A little bit more of this Demonette Hide. Okay, so I want it just a little bit lighter than what we had. No, I'm sorry, a little bit lighter than this color, but I combated the two flesh tones because in the back here, I don't want it to be super bright, but I want to make it so that there is a highlight back here. And so I'm doing that more with the warmer purple than doing it with the actual flesh tone. The flesh tone is still in here, but I'm just giving this a little bit more of a highlight with this guy so that it looks like all the shaded areas are still being lit with flesh, but it's not as pronounced. So like kind of right here, all of these fingers back down here, I'm just gonna kind of do in this shaded area. Kind of where I put in that highlight for the feet and the heel. Hopefully it's reading that. Now if I want more of a shade, can always add in a little bit of black to make it grayer. So like if this is too bright, I just tone it down a little bit. There we go. And then I can also do sort of like right here. So this is sort of like your high muscle in the back that gets sort of highlighted, right? You still have to kind of give it some texture, but see, that looks much more of a transition of him. You know, you can do these muscles back here a little bit more. But this gives an idea of like where the light is coming from, and it's not just a spotlight. So there you go. So we still have that darkness in there, but now it's not as dark, and it's starting to transition more. And so what I'll do is just go to straight. I'll warm it up just a little bit, but I'm going to go straight flesh. I really went too much with that. Okay, there we go. So I went too much with the warm purple, so I'm just combating that. I could start over, but you want it to be nice and light, but not super bright. And I'm just going to do these ribs again, because eventually I'm just going to use regular flesh, but I want to make sure that we define these ribs right here. And again, this could be your total shadow highlight color. So I can go right into these recesses, add this color in. So right here, I need this to be a little bit more on the bright side, because this is, yeah, at least in the front here. So all of this is going to see the light. This might be too, yeah, this was too dark. There we go. I'll add more flesh tone now. Bring this belly out a little bit more. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Painting towards the highlight color. Oops. Oh well, we'll fix that up in a second. Again, this is more flesh tone in here, so it should read a little bit brighter, but it's farther away. And oh, I have to kind of blend in this skull up here because that looks like it doesn't have too much of a skull. There we go. Let's see, where do we want to go here? So I think I want a little bit of highlight right on this part of the neck. A little bit of highlight right on this part of the neck. And on this part of the neck. And definitely want some highlight here. All right. So the rest of the, I'm gonna have to keep shading in, or glazing in rather. But for right now, I think we're pretty good as far as where we want to go. I'm just gonna go right to the flesh now, pure flesh, and just add in some extreme highlights. Whoops. Let's flood that out. You don't want that in there. Okay, so since I flooded that out, we can't touch that area for a little bit, so we'll do somewhere else. So we'll do the top of the lip. Do the nose. This is just pure flesh tone. We'll do like these little they're not eyebrows, but, and we'll do some cheeks. So that's gonna be kind of where the light is hitting him. We'll also give him a little bit more extra in the way of the skull. And we'll definitely do the ear here. We'll do some of this ear here. So we really want to bring out that face. We're going to bring out the other face on the side a little bit more. So definitely this part of the mouth, this lip. I'm only doing this side of the face in the highlight. I'm not going to highlight the other side because we don't need to. We only want to highlight where the light is. This neck right here, just in there with the neck. Okay. We're going to do this knee right here. We're going to do this whole entire leg. Not all of it, just kind of like where we need some of the muscles to protrude. Oops. You can start to see now a little bit more of the bright in the front. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually just take this flesh, and I'm going to go over some of these veins. And we're going to do those with an ivory mix too, but for right now, I'm just going to I'm going to blend in a little bit more here. Hit this area at the top. There's a little muscle right here that I want to get. Now let's try those ribs again. There we go. do these muscles over here. I think away from him is where the muscles are going to get highlighted a little bit more. So somewhere around here, this hand definitely is going to be highlighted more. Some of these wrinkles around his hand will get wrinkled more, and you're going to see why that's important. Right here, only on the front of the fingers, leaving the rest to the side. I think right here, because it's away from him. Okay. This right up here needs to get a little bit. And I think this first finger will see most of that light. We can probably not do the finger in the back, only because it's being done by it's being shaded by the club. We definitely want that. All right. All right, so here he is, and we need to do, sorry, I just saw some spots. And definitely need to do right here. And right here. Now you don't have to do all of this because not all of it's being shown. Definitely do your feet though. Do this part of the heel because that looks like it's in some light and some shade. And I'm going to do like the lighted side of his foot here. Okay. Now let's see him. All right, so here he is. Let's turn him and see how he shades out. So this part, you can definitely see the shade versus the highlight. That's fine. We can always add in a little bit more of this shade color. I mean, it can be a glaze too, but you can always add in a little bit more of this if you think that something needs to be transitioned a little bit better. A little smoother blend. So I'm just right here looking really quick, seeing what needs to kind of go into the shade a little bit more. Okay, looks good. And we get back here, and now he's looking a little bit better. He's looking a little bit more shade toned. We can fix this up with a glaze. Fix this up with a glaze. I'm not glazing, but definitely can fix it up with a glaze. Just we have to find that color we want to glaze with. Okay. And then we got this side. So like anywhere that this transition has this extra edge highlight, I'm trying to get rid of. You're not always going to get rid of it because you're painting on, you're sketching things. That's what the glaze comes for. But you definitely can add some extra details or extra highlights so you know kind of where to glaze from. So there we go. I think it looks a lot better than what we had. So here he is. There's the light. Bring him around. Some darkness. That's the shade. All right. So there's the flesh. Let's get into some other stuff here really quick. Namely the fur. That's kind of where I want to go next. So what we're going to do is take... So this fur we dry brushed with the mahogany and added ivory and stuff. And I kind of want to do a little bit more with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab that yellow ochre. And we're going to grab our mixing brush. And kind of the way we did the flesh, right? We had that 9 kind of shaded thing that we were doing. So if we wanted the dark and the mid and the light. Now I don't want my yellow ochre to be the predominant color. So what I'm going to do is actually mix some mahogany, so 2 mahoganies, just a touch of this yellow ochre, just to warm up that, and just a touch of ivory to kind of really brighten that up. And so that's the color I want. Now I can use more yellow ochre in this color and more ivory in that color. And then I can use the mahogany to darken it down. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to actually take this color that we made, which now I just added more mahogany, so we have to warm that up. And I'm going to use this to do an overbrush, but I'm only going to overbrush when I'm doing the fur. So when you overbrush, it's sort of like a dry brush, where you're taking the paper towel and you're only wiping one side and then flattening it out. So you have this like flat brush that you're just going to kind of very lightly touch. And so what I'm going to do is only touch the high spot. So this belly right here, this is a high spot that I want to bring out. And then his little chest area right here. So I'm leaving a little bit of nice dark, a little, oh, sorry, a little darkness right there. And I'm just gonna kind of hit this as very lightly. If you press too hard, you're gonna paint it. And we don't wanna paint it. We want it to be sort of this overbrush, because we just wanna get at those highlights of the hair, of the fur. And just be careful you don't hit your flesh, because then it's gonna look weird. And then when you do this, this looks like it's got 3 pieces to it. So it's got this one, then it's got this guy right here, and then this little top piece right there. 1, 2, 3, and maybe a little bottom. There you go. Well, we're keeping that darker area in there, and all I'm trying to do is get a little bit of different variations of color into this fur, and I'm leaving that darkness around the skin, because we're going to do that skin a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some mahogany, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Now I haven't changed anything on my brush, I didn't wash it out. So I'm just going to take that mahogany, and you see how I do that? I just wipe it once, half 180 degrees, wipe it the other way. See how it becomes almost like a flat brush? And then I'm just going to kind of, just in the recesses, dry overbrush in there. Okay. It's not really that much, it's just that one little area. Then I'm going to go to this highlight color that we did, not changing. So it's like you wouldn't do that with a dry brush, right? You wouldn't rinse it off. And so I'm doing the same thing here, except this is an overbrush. So 182, that's all I'm doing, very lightly. This is the lighter color, so I'm going to stay in the middle of what I dry brushed. This is the overbrush. All right? So you're just going to kind of do it where you think the light's going to hit. And we can start bringing some warmth. So I'll bring a little bit more of this ivory. I'm not bringing in a lot of the yellow ochre. I'm just bringing in that much to warm it up. Not bringing in a lot of ivory, just that much to brighten it up. So you want a little bit of warm, a little bit of bright. I'm not changing my brush at all, haven't rinsed it out. Just so you can see what I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. 1, 2, good. Stay in the center, very lightly like a dry brush. It will start to see how that works. So you can overbrush, very controlled like, but you gotta take your time and you have to be careful that you don't hit anywhere that you don't want to hit. And then what you can do is eventually you can glaze it all down. And look, I can go even farther. I can do this a second time to really brighten out things. So I didn't even make new stuff. All I did was reuse the same stuff to make it nice and bright. I'm going to just go right with the ivory now. Really, really brighten that up. And just little controlled highlights. So this is where I want my highlight to be. So when I'm looking at it, so that's how you can do some quick fur. And the more that you highlight and make it blend into darkness, the better off it's gonna look and be striking. Now I did rinse this off because I don't want the paint so much on there, but what I want to do is get a little bit of black in there. And the black is just going to darken up some of the mahogany. So I'm going to actually this I'm not well, yeah, maybe I should do that. We're going to overbrush again. This time I'm going to take a 50-50 mix of brown and mahogany. And no, I'm going to do 2 mahoganies and 1 black. And we'll see if this works. This looks a little too black, so let's do 3 mahoganies and 1 black. You just want it darker than a mahogany, so 3 mahoganies, 1 black. Again, you're going to do 1 pass at 180 degrees, and I'm just going to kind of get this nice dark color right in that recess. And I could do it in the all on the back side here. Oh, I haven't even done this back side. This color here, I can actually overbrush this whole back side. I don't have to do too much back here because that's all shade. But if you want this to be a little bit more textured, you could go with doing this with that very first color we used as your final highlight. You can even go darker back here. But this is more about the front. So I'm just, and the trick to fur, well, this is just basic fur. I looked online to see if there was anything fancy we could do, and I didn't see anything with the color palette that we had. So I decided, you know what, we're gonna do it in some different shades of brown, and we're gonna warm up the brown. We're gonna cool it down a little bit. We'll use more mahogany here, not rinsing the brush off, but we are doing the one pass for as if we were dry brushing, right? And we'll dry brush mahogany brown right here, right here. Even though that there's no light coming here, it's still bulging out from him. So this is his butt area, so this would be more out there instead of recessed. Just don't hit your wood grains, and whoops, just don't hit your wood grains. Let me move this up. So I think I'm just sitting higher on the chair, that's why. And then I'll just kind of blend this in with what we had. And this is how you make something a little bit more tabletop plus. You just kind of add in different shades, so it's not all just kind of one messed up or one looking, you know, like you're really putting thought in where the belly goes. So this is kind of where I want. So this is kind of where I want that, right? So there you go. If you wanted to, you'd add some, I rinsed it out, I shouldn't have rinsed it out, but I'll add more warmth in here. This was my mid-tone. Very light strokes. I'm not hitting this to a point where I'm painting it. I'm just kind of using the side of the brush just to kind of hit high spots. So you want to be as really controlled, really slow, and light touches. And don't be afraid if you make a mistake, or if it's, you know, you get all the way in there with one of these colors. You can always wash it with a black. You can always paint it brown and redo it. Gonna add some ivory to that color we just did because it's a little bit more warm. And it's just a matter of just adding those four colors. Even the black is, I would say, don't do a lot of black, but just adding in a little bit of those variated colors. Like you can even do stripes going. If you, there we go. So that's kind of where he's at with that. I'm just kind of pulling towards the light. But I wouldn't put any of this light kind of, you know, where there's shade. But I will put light kind of around this area here, because this will eventually, see how that gets darker and it starts to pull that skin away? That's what you want. Now for that skin tone, I believe, oh, look at that. So I believe we use something like some mahogany, some warm flesh, and some ivory. I think we used something like that for that skin tone, or maybe it was just mahogany and ivory. But what we're going to do is add a little bit of, what was I going to add to that? Oh, I'm going to add a little bit of this rosy skin to it. More ivory, I think, is needed. And let me see if that was what I wanted to do. So I'm just, yeah. So I'm just gonna kind of paint over that skin tone. This one is a little bit more warmer to it. Kind of like that better. That's what we're gonna do. But the other thing is, I'm just gonna keep adding ivory to like the top part of this and edge highlight the bottom. So I'll show you what that looks like. So right here, I'm not going to get as close to the skin, but I do want to make sure that I get kind of that skin. I want to keep that darkness around the skin because I want this to have a much different feel to it, but I also want it to be separated. So you just want to kind of paint as close as you can to that dark line. Did that, do this, do this. Now I'm really trying to finish him tonight. So I don't think I'm going to, but I will tell you what we're doing. So I'm just working more on the front of him. But obviously you have this whole back to do, right? But I'm not going to do the back here because I wanted to make this a little bit darker. So I'm going to add more of the mahogany into here. So I'll take this and I'll add more mahogany to this mixture. And I will start painting from here to make that shade. And we'll fix up that messed up rope that we did over here because we got rope on the skin. So all I'm doing is just painting this with that more mahogany in there. Okay. Now with that warm mahogany, there is this edge line right here, right? So we have this piece of skin of the fur, and when we come over here, we have that thing. So you either add more of the highlight color, or if I want more darker color, I add more of the mahogany. So if I add more of the mahogany to that color I was just using, I can come into here and I can make this into shade. So I can make this a little darker because it's not so in the light. Or I take this color I used in the middle and I add more of this brighter color to it, and I just paint over that little area to make that transition, kind of like that. I'll do the same thing over here. So to make your transitions on the side, just mix the two colors that you've been using, and you can darken it or you can shade it. So here, I'm going to darken up to there. All right. Add some ivory into your mix and paint the top edge, right? So you can just paint all of this top, not in, but the top facing. What this does is it starts to make a brighter color at that top base, making next to the skin darker. And then if you edge highlight the bottom of the skin, it will make where the fur connects to the skin darker, or make it appear darker. So that's one thing every miniature painter should know, is how to darken between materials. And since this is a skin versus a piece of fur, you want to actually get that to be brighter. Now I could add some dark brown around that flesh tone, and it will even make it darker. So I'm going to add some ivory into this color here, and make that transition. Again, I'm just doing the tops of the skin. And then I'll edge highlight. I'm not doing a very good job edge highlighting this, but I'm just trying to rush. I know, don't rush. We get it. But I want you to see what it looks like, so you kind of get a rough idea. All right, there we go. There's that. Let's see. What do we want to do here? Oh, I want to take some of this flesh, this rosy flesh. I'm going to take 2 of these, and I'm going to do it with a little bit of ivory. I'm going to brighten that up, and the reason I'm going to brighten that up is because I'm just going to go around the brightest area. I'm not going to go around the whole entire horn, but I'm going to pick out all of these little veins here and just make them a little bit lighter. So you want to just be careful and just get on the tops of those and really kind of bring those out. Don't make them ivory, don't make them white. Use your rosy highlight because that's the skin tone, but you really kind of just want to, that's one of these details that you should really kind of do if you want it to be tabletop plus. Those kinds of details really give the miniature some character. See how those And so I'm just going to look and whoops. And what's nice is that if you have any imperfections or you have an edge highlight, you can always kind of create some veins in there. Let's see. So here's a vein right here. This looks like a big vein, so we're gonna do this big vein. And then you also have these wrinkles in the hands and the fingers. I would do those. That's an extra detail that you can, that kind of gives a little bit more structure or uniqueness. So like kind of there's these little veins and stuff that stick out all over right here. I don't know what this is, but we'll do that one. Something right there. I don't know, that might have been an imperfection from me. Kind of get this really kind of striking. He's pretty much yelling. All right, and let's do the hand up here. Just getting those folds in there. All right. Man, you get that deck finished? It's drying. That's what it's doing. It's drying, and then I have to repaint it. So that's the thing with that deck. So we live under a forest, so what happens is it gets all green, and so we had to go in and use a bleach on it to get rid of all that algae and stuff. And now I'm waiting for it to dry, and we have to wait for some dry days, so painting it's going to be a problem because it's going to rain. I think we get one day that doesn't rain, so I need a period of time. So it's not finished, let's put it that way. All right, let's do some more with this guy. I want to actually take and do these skulls a little bit, so we're gonna take some ivory and a little bit of warm yellow ochre. Oops, that's too much warm yellow ochre. And I'm also gonna add in some white. Now, I don't normally add white to my ivory, but this is a skull, and this, the only way I can highlight some ivory is, that's right, either darkening stuff down next to it or adding some white. So we're going to take some of this and I'm just going to go around these skulls really quick. And so Just gonna kind of do around the eyes. So when you're doing skulls, and you can find somebody to correct me if I'm wrong, but you want this brow, you want these cheekbones around the eye, and then you want to leave a little bit of space and just do like kind of this top of the skull. Now he has a little hole, so I'll do around the hole. And then the other thing I'm going to do is this little dot right in the middle. So there's like this little kind of jut in the skull. And the cheeks go all the way back. How are we doing tonight, Space Nifty? What is going on? Gotta do the upper lip of the skull, and then of course you have to do the teeth. There's no, you gotta have teeth on the skull, unless it's just half of the skull. So there's one skull. We'll do the next one. Take your time, know where the cuts and the scratches are. And if you do that, people will say, oh, you took a long time to do that skull. And you really didn't. But it's things like this that makes it a little bit more than just tabletop. That's another one, and then we have one more to do. Now this one, you can decide if you want to go darker yellow onto the side of it like this. You know, I think only this part of it gets highlighted. You might have to leave the rest of it. Alright, so you only shade that much and leave that side left in the shade. You can do that if you want. Or you can make this a little bit lighter color because it's in the transition phase. There you go. Don't forget to do these little bones up there. All right. So here's what we're gonna do with, we can go warm gray. Maybe we should go warm gray. Let's do some ivory. Let's do some black. This is gonna make a gray, 2 blacks, 1 ivory. Let's get some yellow ochre. I'll get another black. So 3 blacks, yellow ochre, ivory. Makes this sort of greenish gray. And we can get into the, we're just gonna kind of get into the beard here. I'm just gonna make a couple quick slashes of highlight. Might be a little too stark at the moment, but we can always glaze that down with a black. And I'm just starting at the lip and moving out, and if I don't have to do too much. Actually, I kind of like that. Do the same thing over here. this, I'm gonna go towards the point of his beard. And then we have his hair to do. So I'm gonna use the side of the brush to do this. So I'm just gonna kind of start at the head and just streak out. And then what you can do is add a little bit more of that ivory. And just do the tops now, you know, so right there, there. In other words, don't do all of what you just, don't cover everything you just did, just do the tops near the chin. And then we'll do the top of the hair. There we go. Now he's got some definition in his beard. Okay, you ready for this? Let's get some green. Let's take care of some of those fingers and toenails. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to paint them black first. We already did the toenails once. So go ahead and find your fingernails and do those black. As I will do. Get some green on your palette. So these fingernails, he has big fingers and these long fingernails. So that's what we want to do. Want to paint all of that fingernail black without getting too much on the skin. And if you can get none on the skin, then you're better than I am at the moment. I should have my magnifiers on, but I don't. And he's got a couple fingernails hidden, but that doesn't mean we can't black line around that thumb. So we'll do that. And we'll do the same thing on the other hand. So I'm hoping that the deck will be finished by next week. At least trying to get some painting in. If not, it's gonna have to be done on Friday the 7th, which is my first summer Friday. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this black that we just used. So we're going to do one black, and we're going to do one green, and we're going to do one yellow ochre. I think I took a lot more than one yellow ochre, so let's add a little bit of green and a little bit of black. So you're gonna get this like sickly yellow green color, and we're gonna do that on the toenails first. And what you want to do is you don't want to do it all the way to the black, but you want to do it enough so that you keep a black line where the toe is and you want to actually bring that green into that sickly green color into the toenail on the outside. And what we're going to eventually do is just keep adding yellow ochre, and we're going to keep coming to the outside, leaving some of that green in the middle to kind of show the fungus has started to go in. So we're going to make this nice and sickly. So and it should be different eventually from the base we did. So stay away from the actual toe, leaving some of that black line in for the toe. And I actually have this color in Monument Hobbies called dark yellow green, but it's always fun to mix. You're gonna do the same thing on this thumbnail. Start by the thumb and work your way out onto the nail. That way you'll keep that black line in there. So there's a little bit of that showing. Now I'm just going to go ahead and dot inside all of these black lines that we did, just to show that it's not really a black line, it's more of fingernails in there. And we're going to do the same thing on the other one. And in this case, I'm not too worried with this extra detail. If I was doing it as a competition or a commission piece, then I would totally worry about the darkness and the shade of these fingernails back here. But we're going to do everything all at once together. So and so now I'm going to take this yellow ochre, mix it in again to that green, nothing else, just the yellow ochre. Or that, well, I should say that yellowy, dark yellowy green. And you want to leave some of the green in there, but you want to do the same thing you just did, coming out onto the, you want that gradual kind of fungus looking toenail. Now you can do the top a little bit more, but I wouldn't do too much of the top. You want to leave some of that green. Do you ever think of doing yellow toenails, or do you always do them white? Do you always do them ivory or black? Sometimes toenails can look pretty impressive if you can do them in a unique fashion. So why not do it a little more fungally? Besides, would you really want this guy to touch your character with fungally nails? I wouldn't. Okay. You guessed it. More yellow. And this is what we're going to do the tip with. Oh, that was a little too much yellow. Sorry. Now I have to adjust everything. All right. That looks good. This is dirty yellow ochre, and now I'm just going to go on the tip. Right to the point. See, you can start seeing those toenails. Let's see if we can start seeing the thumbnails. I'm not going to do the inside one because it's just, I don't need to do as much. Okay. Need to get this black line just a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. All right. Last thing, I know, more yellow? No, no more yellow ochre. Let's get into that ivory. Let's pull that ivory a little bit just to get a nice little shine to these things. And you're just gonna kind of go over the top with this little edge highlight over the top. So just kind of really carefully hit over the top of the nail. And that's what we want. So if you hit the top of the nail, it'll make it look like it shines, and all of that goes through. So maybe a little bit more ivory. So it's just an edge highlight. It's not, you're not painting anything other than a little top edge highlight. See? So like right here, I don't know if you could see the edge highlight. My base is in my way, so I'm not doing it any justice. But there is an edge highlight. We're gonna do the same thing over here. A nice edge highlight. Alright. Everything is looking good. The only thing I haven't done really is I haven't done much with the ropes like I was supposed to do last week. Because there's some ropes going on in there. But we have this thing here to do, this beer thing. And so let's do, you want to try non-metallic metal? It's going to be a little rough to do non-metallic metal, I think. Here's what we'll do. We have the green armbands, we have the green leather and stuff. Let's go ahead and put in a little bit of, I'm gonna mix some black and green together. Make a nice dark green. And I'm gonna do it outside the beer mug. Let's do that. outside the beer mug. Actually, you can probably do the whole beer mug. It's not going to matter. But if you can not do the whole beer mug, then that'll be even better. We're going to do the inside green. That kind of adds to the line of green all over that we wanted to do. Okay, that looks good. And then I'm going to take green and yellow. We're going to make a nice bright green. So 2 greens, 1 yellow. And I'm going to do the wood of the mug. So we're just going to do the wood of that mug. Just like that. And we're going to do our silver. Let's get out our silver. We haven't done that today. And let's get some black. And put 2 silvers in that black. And do the top and bottom of the beer mug. And we'll get that handle in there as well. Now, there is this little thing. Now, I don't know if you have it or if it's just a rough sculpt, but it looks like this little circle around the beer mug. I'm going to go ahead and do that purple because we haven't used purple at all in this. I'm going to darken that down a little bit with some black. And I'm just going to hit that little circle that's in there. It could technically be fizz coming out of the beer mug, but I'm just gonna do this purple. You know what? I have gone this entire 2 hours with not having light on this miniature for you. I apologize so much. Let's do that, and maybe now you'll get to see what I'm doing. All right. And so all I'm going to do now is add a little bit of ivory to my yellow mixture here, my yellow-green mixture. And I'm just going to go in and just kind of hit some edging here. Like so. Now I'm going to take some of this green, just green, and add it into this dark green mixture, just to get a little bit more of a green without hitting that purple. Okay. And then you guessed it, just take your silver, just plain old silver, and edge highlight all the silver. Brings that out. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of repaint some of my silver that I messed up through the dry brush or I didn't do last time, because you know we're going really quick. We're trying to get it on the table, and now I have time to touch them up. All right. Now, with that in mind, I'm actually going to take, I'm going to go to a little dark brown and just dot in some of the flesh here. Not the flesh, the skin of the fur, because it looks like, yeah. And you can even add a little bit more flexibility to the skin. All right. That was just bugging me, sorry. There's a lot of stuff bugging me, but all right, I'm gonna add a little bit of green. No, I'm just gonna take normal green, sorry. Finish doing my green out here, outline. I'm gonna try to stay in the middle as best I can to not, I'm trying to stay as close as I can to that yellow without going over, without touching. Yellow? No, purple, sorry. And to do the purple, I'm not going to stick ivory because that's going to kind of just grade out. So I'm going to just go white. So I'm just going to take a little bit of white. Take this warm purple that we used. A little tiny bit of white. Keep adding tiny bits of white until you can see a different change or value color. Right there. That looks good. You can visibly see it. And I'm just going to go ahead and edge highlight around that purple circle. So if I added ivory to that purple color, purple and yellow, they kind of cancel each other out, and I didn't want it to go gray on me, so I just wanted to make this nice little highlight of a purple. And I'm just staying away from the mug because that will make the inner purple, the outer, there we go. Got a little blob of a foot right here, so I'm just gonna make that in the light, but it's underneath him, so it's more in the shade. There we go. Looks much better. All right, let's see. So he's looking a little rough, but I think we fixed him up. He's a little bit more transition-y here, and a little bit more transition-y here, so that's good. So when we look at him from these angles, he's going to look pretty good on the table. for being Tabletop Plus. I'm just going to go around and quickly touch some things up here. This is what you do in Tabletop Plus. You touch things up that you made a mistake on. Remember, all we were trying to do was get them on the table. And now we have the time to clean them up. And so I'm just giving him a little bit brighter lip there. We can add more ivory to this flesh. And we can really kind of increase the highlight here, which increases the black line or the dark line where his lip is. I can enhance these wrinkles. There we go. That's what I want. Now I have to fix that chin a little bit because I made a mistake there. Okay. Ugh. What? I think this brush has seen its days. It's making mistakes left and right. Okay. There we go. It's looking better. All right. Tabletop Plus. We also need eyes on him, so we're gonna do some eyes. The other thing to finish a miniature, it's not really Tabletop Plus, but you should do it as best you can, is to dark line everything. So one of the things you can do is use black or dark brown around the fur around this thing here. So I would just go through and I would start dark lining if I have the time. We're already over our 2 hours, but because this is the last Sunday stream, I do want to be able to do as much as I can to get him tabletop ready. And I also want to give him, whether he has a tattoo, a scar, or facial paint, I just wanted to show that. But first thing we're going to do is some eyes. So he has small eyes. So I think I'm going to just go right to... So I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm going to take this black, and I'm going to go to my rosy skin. So this is going to be like a gray, right? And I'm going to go right into my brown. So it's like black, brown, and rosy skin. And I'm going to use this color. I need it a little bit darker, so let's add a little bit more black. So I'm going to use this color as my outlining. It's got my rosy skin, it's got my black, and it's got a little bit of brown. And I'm just going to go in and just make these little slits in the eyes. I should have my magnifiers on for this, but that's the first one. So just take your time. Notice that I'm turning the miniature and I'm also using only the tip, the side tip of my brush, and I'm just getting in there. Because the paint is a little liquidy, it's actually filling in. So all I gotta do is dab, fill in. And if you make a mistake, we can go in and we can fix up the flesh. And do the same thing over here. Now what I like about this, if you're not good at eyes, these are this is a well sculpted model for eyes. All you gotta do is just stick it in there and it should just dark line right in there. So all I'm doing is taking the tip and just getting some dark paint in that area. Oops. So there you go. That was really no effort there. The effort comes from when you stick the ivory. Hi, my name is Scott. Hello. How are you today, sir? The trick comes from doing the ivory in the different corners. And that's how we're going to do this. We're going to do it because I don't think that it's sculpted well enough to do a white slit. So we're going to do corners. I take this ivory, and I'm just going to hit in the corner of one of the eyes. And then the corner of the other eye. With just the tip. And now he has an eye. I'm doing well today, just enjoying the stream while I work on some of my own stuff. That's awesome. We're always glad that you're just kind of hanging out, doing your own stuff, and listening in. Hopefully I haven't said anything that causes you great distress. We're going to do the same thing here. So we just start with that corner by the nose and the corner on the outside of the eye. And instant eyes. And I just have to touch up one thing because the brown kind of went onto his cheekbone. So we'll just do a little bit of flesh right on that cheekbone. Cleans up that eye really nice. And I don't need to worry too much about over there. So there we go. That's one face has eyes. We'll do the other one now. The other one, I think we have, and I think I can get some ivory as a line. So I'll do the ivory as a line just so you can see it. But just want to get the ivory in there. So right there. And we'll do the same thing over here. So all I'm doing is getting ivory all along the dark line that we put in there, but I'm not trying to get all of, whoops, not trying to get all of the dark line. Give me one sec. I think that was just a little too watery. There we go. All right. And then I gotta fix up the flesh because I got some on the cheek. That's all right because we haven't really done anything yet. So there you go. Good. So there's our white eyes, and then we're just going to take this nice dark brown. I'm even gonna add more black to it. I'm gonna take this nice dark, and I could, if I wanted to, give him color in the eyes, but I'm just gonna make a little dot right in the middle of that white that we did in there. I don't know if I did it on that one or not. Alright, so 3 out of 4 eyes is not bad. Now we just have to go and fix the other eye. And I'll probably do that with the white corners, only because the ivory corners, because I know where those ivory corners are now. There we go. Now we can just kind of fix up around the eyes.
Hello there.
All right. Oh, let's see. Oh, you're fine. Nothing you can really do or say could stress me out. Years of being on the ambulance and has kind of made me immune to stress. Well, that's good. I'm not good that you're on the ambulance, but good that you're stress-free, same as I am. Hey, Wargaming Recon, what's going on? I gave you a shout-out earlier, sir. We did actual green and ivory for these hands here. And then we glazed over them with some green. So I'm just gonna warm them up with some yellow and ivory, and I'm just gonna go in there and I'm just gonna kind of create some texture into these hands right here. Not exactly sure what kind of hands these are. They could be human, could be orcs. It looks like they have rings on them, so we could do rings. Could be rope to keep them tied as a necklace. There we go. Gives them a little bit more of a popability. Oh, thank you. Just finished watching Dune Part 2. Loved it. Gonna be lurking while I'm on my working on my podcast stuff. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, go follow Wargaming Recon. He has a podcast that he does for the hobby. It's all kinds of stuff for from tabletop wargaming to tabletop RPGs to painting miniatures to gaming in general. So wargamingrecon.com is where you can find him. We did a little spot at the first part of the show, and I can always do it again. I don't have it ready to go. Sorry. But go follow him. All right, so I think he's good enough to count as tabletop quality. I mean, there's more stuff that I have to do. One of the things that I need to do is to go in and take some green, and I will do this off stream, but I'm going to put some ivory to it and just go ahead and go around adding edge highlighting to all of this green that I put on here. So there's these bands here. Oh, I also have an elbow that I have to work on as well. So there's a lot of stuff on this miniature that we kind of haven't completely done. And I save that for you to practice all of the stuff that we've been working on. But there is one thing I want to do, and I want to give him a little bit of war paint, just because I think it would be kind of nifty. And it kind of separates him from everybody else's that just kind of paints. I wanted to put some color into him, so we put some green. I haven't really done too much green, but I'm just going around just kind of quickly edge highlighting some of that green wrap to give him a little bit more, to give him more of the popability. And as you can see, this is kind of where people are going to look at him. This is where you would display him. But on the table, as you turn him, he does get darker and darker. We did fix that up, which was good. And then back here, things are just darker. It looks a little bit more fleshier back there. Maybe he's up against the wall, or maybe the light's not hitting him. But then we come over here and he's transitioning more into the light. So this is what we've got. So I think he's going to look good on the table. And if I was to go above and beyond, I would definitely do a lot more blending of the skin tones. I would bring out more of these. I would bring out more of these veins in his arm and in his fingers and stuff like that. But I think for right now, for 4 weeks, a couple hours each pop, I think we did a pretty good job on him. At least, not knowing where to go in the color schemes. But let's get some war paint. Now, the thing with war paint, I don't have to stick to any color that I have on here. You can, but the thing with war paint is that it's supposed to be just... It doesn't need to be anywhere on him. I don't need green war paint. I don't need yellow or purple war paint. I can do anything. So because of the green and the rosy skin and the warm browns and yellow, a lot of this miniature is on the warmer tones. Even the purple is a warmer tone. So I might try something much colder. I could use a darker purple if I want to stay in the purple category. But you guessed it, we're going to go blue. And I'm going to start with... I'm going to try to go with a darker blue and then kind of use it to be my dark line, and then use a brighter blue on top of that. And all I'm going to do is really kind of go down the face. I'm going to just stick this on the face and maybe across the eyes. So for the less impact, I think where his mouth is open, I'm going to use a stripe going down. And then where he's looking at me, I'm going to go with maybe 2 stripes diagonally. That's what I'm going to do. So you don't have to do this. If you like what you already did, if you've been painting along. But this is something that I'm going to do. So to do this, I already have the blues here, so I'm going to just use these. I'm going to go with a dark blue. That's going to be my dark lining. And then I'm just going to go straight up blue. And I'm going to try to stay within the dark line or the dark blue to get this. So I don't know, this may or may not work. We're going to see. But I don't want to go too much with the war paint. But he is a named character. And so why not do something a little bit more creative with him? Sometimes your creativity doesn't work. Sometimes it does work. But with war paint, you don't need to have... I could have used red to contrast the green, but I'm choosing temperature contrast over color contrast. And so I'm going to take this purple, I'm going to take this dark blue, and you have to be bold. You can't just pick and choose how you want to do this. So I'm just going to go quickly from his hair. I'm just going to say, okay, there it is, right there. That's the war paint. So now you just have to kind of make it look a little bit neater. So I'm just going to kind of... Now it's not going to look good because... Whoops. It's not going to look good because it's dark, right? Just looks like I got a stripe down there. And I could do like 5, like maybe he just put it all down his face, but we're just going to do it this way and see if it works. I mean, he's my miniature, so if I want to give him war paint, I will do war paint. Now, it may look stupid on one face, but once we get it on this guy's face, right, we could do it from one ear and then the top. So we'll see. Now, this isn't a tattoo, so I'm not going to add in any flesh tones to it. This is just, they took paint and they put it on. Or they took something and they put it on. So we're going to kind of go right from the bottom of his eye here. And on this part of the lip. And then maybe down. So you don't want to do anything on the eye. So if you, usually if you separate it, it'll be... It'll look more natural, but I try to stay away from the eye because I kind of like the eye. There. And I think what we'll do is we'll put another one here and another one here. Okay. Probably did them too far apart, but let's see. This one goes that way. This one we'll do there. Down his nose. All right. So there we go. There's my 3. Now we're going to go right to the light blue. And this one you want to leave ridges. So I'm just going to do like the bumps of the highlight. So we'll do it on his lip. Lip. I'm trying to stay in between those dark line, so I'm just trying to be in the middle. I'm just separating. Then we'll add a little bit of white. And we'll make it just a little bit. Oops. Get some water there. It's not good. And we're just going to hit the high spots. So kind of where his lip is. Ah, that was not good. Got too watery. I don't know why. So I gotta wait for that to flood out. But and all I'm doing is dotting kind of where the highlight would have been. So like on his nose, on his eyes, his brow, and right at the top of his forehead, his cheek. See if I can redo this. It may or may not have worked the way we kind of wanted it to, but I think it works with one war paint, or I could have done something on the forehead instead of like the stripes down the side of his face, but it is what it is. But it's different. Nobody's gonna have war paint on there. Well, you might have copied me, and so you will have war paint on your so if I wanted to, I could take this blue, I gotta take this dark blue, and I could take this medium blue, mix it together, and then what I would do is add in the rosy flesh, and you would create this muted blue that you would actually use into your tattoo. So I don't know where I would do a tattoo. Since I can't think of a place to do a tattoo, I'm not going to do it, but that's what you would do. You would add your rosy flesh into your blue tattoo, or blue pigment, and then it would start to make it fade and aged. But I kind of like these little veins popping out, so that gives it a little bit more character. I could, if I wanted to, take some of this ivory or white and really kind of bring this out. And I could go over this with that brighter color. Very, very controlled right at the top. Right? And so you get that kind of, there's still rosy skin highlight in this color, but I've added white and ivory into it to really make these veins pop out just a little bit more. So you really get those veins to show up. Oh. There's a lot more we can do on him. I still have to go in and dark line everything. I have to start bringing up a little bit more of the highlights in certain areas. I have to fix up my little spot here that I because when he busted, he broke and stuff. But I think for this piece, we could call him, well, we can't call him done because we haven't finished the gray base or whatever. And you could just do that with all kinds of different mixtures. You know, you could take your demonette hide, add a little bit of black, add a little bit of white, gray that down, and you could just start painting in some rocks here to give it a little bit of extra color. You could take in some green, some black, some ivory, make a nice little green-gray, and start adding in a little bit of green into the wood. And if you use the side of the brush and just kind of move it around, you can get some of that texture to come through. So there's nothing saying that you have to keep using black and white or just gray for your base. You can do all kinds of colors. I can add green, or excuse me, I can add some yellow ochre to that mix and just start giving in some warmer tones. So there's all kinds of things you can do for the base. And then what I showed you, I can't do it now because it's wet, but then you can go in with some ivory and just kind of like, you know, overbrush things and get some nice texture on there. Like I said, I'm not totally done with this piece. There's a lot of cleanup I have to do, such as edge or dark lining. And we've done that dark lining on the stuff before, so you can see some of the past paint-alongs to know what I'm talking about with dark lining. But all we do is take one of the colors that we use, whether it's this flesh tone, so we're using a purple, or a dark green, and we're just making a little dark line in between those two things to make it separated. You're trying to frame it, kind of like how we have this skin frame to the fur. That's how we're doing that. Same way we did this black nail. The black is next to the the toe, and so it separates the toenail from the foot. So that's kind of what I mean by dark lining. And I think we also talked about dark lining when we did the lip. See that dark line around the lip? That's also. So we can take. So I just fixed up part of his lip. All right. There he is, folks. That's Nor'rOkk the Ettin. That's a month of painting, 3 weeks of tabletop painting, and then we started tabletop plussing him by blending out some of those skin tones, giving him some more paint, working on his toenails, making those nice and fungally. Gave him a little beer, paint up the beer and the skulls. Hopefully it gives you a little bit more. We did this last week, but I have to take the rope and I have to go all over. He has rope on the top of his neck. He has rope on the hands there. And then again, we have to dark line and edge highlight some of the stuff. So keep looking out for this on future streams that I do, because if I do a technical tryout and try to do dark lining, I might use him to do it, or I'll just continue working on him because he's on a film case base. But for me, he's ready to go for the table. You can stick this on the table and nobody's gonna complain. So there he is. I will put him there. All right. And I'll have to take some pictures. Maybe I should take a picture now. Because when we go raid into somebody, they're going to be like, hey, you got any pictures? And I'm going to be like, hold on. Hold on, my friends. So let me get a picture of him really quick. And this is a time where we can just hang out and talk if you want. I will remind people that this is the last Sunday stream for 2024. It's not the last paint along stream, but it is the last Sunday paint along stream. My schedule will be Tuesdays and Thursdays now, so you can look below to find out when the start times are. I'm thinking doing technical Tuesdays for an hour and a half, taking a break, coming back, and working another 2 hours on something. Whether that's another paint along on Tuesday nights, or if I decide to restrict Thursday nights to be the paint along, we will do that. I just need my phone, and we'll take a nice picture of him. Okay, and we'll turn him around this way. We're not going to turn him around to show where we broke him. Look at this. That looks pretty cool. All right. Now let's put this on stream. Let's put this on stream. Oh, I can't put it on stream yet. Sorry. I have to edit that stuff, but I took the pictures, which is a good sign. All right. Let me be all professional instead of me just taking and trying to do pictures here. Here he is in his glory. So there he is. That's Nor'rOkk the Ettin. Just putting him up there so that when I export this, I know what I'm looking at. All right, so let's stop this. Let's do this. I'll wipe this out. Do this so you're not looking at a light. All right, ladies. Oh, I didn't. Dang it. That's what we wanted to show on. Whoops. That's what we wanted to show on this stream. That's what. Okay. All right. Come on. There we go. All right. That's what we wanted to work on in the stream, and we didn't do it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for stopping in tonight and painting along. Hopefully that you're hobbying along. I know that there wasn't a lot of chatting going on because you were either probably painting or doing something awesome with your time. But I'm glad that anybody that could stay in and lurk around, it was great to have you here. As I said before, this is the last Sunday paint along. The paint-alongs will come on a different day. Keep checking the Discord. Exclamation point Discord gets you into the channel. Go to go to Paint-alongs 2024 and look for what we're going to be painting. Look for those color palettes. You can find the past four paint-alongs we did this year. You can find all the ones that we did last year by going to Thursday Night Paint-alongs 2023. They may end up being on Thursday night, or, like I said, I may change it to Tuesday. But the Paint-alongs will come back. There is no Paint-along for June. So I'm going to be streaming in June, Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it's just me doing some stuff, getting stuff done and off film cases and working on things. But we'll see if we can do something for July and August. I do want to look around and see what people are sculpting, digital sculptors or regular casters. I would like to try to promote We Wolf miniatures. So I want to get some of those miniatures for the paint-alongs, because I want to not just promote big companies that you can get miniatures from, but I also want to promote those digital sculptors that you can either 3D print or you can buy yourself. That's what these paint-alongs are for. And if I can get some STLs or 3D prints from somewhere else that to support other people, then that's what I would like to do. My next stream is on Tuesday. It will be at 7. It's a technical tryout. We'll take a break after the technical tryout and then come back in and finish painting, and we'll find something to paint that we want to paint. And that starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. Pacific, and then you can figure out from there where those go. I have to find out who we're going to raid into. I think I know who we're going to raid into. Let's see. Okay. I know who we're going to raid into. But anyway, so that is my stream schedule. So I want to make sure everybody knows that. Ladies and gentlemen, please go follow Wargaming Recon because...
Yes, and I'd have gotten away with it too. If it wasn't for these blasted kids and their dogs.
Welcome with the Unlurked Wargamer Recon. I was just about to say, go follow Wargaming Recon. He's a fantastic podcaster. And I have to go and start setting up my stuff so I can listen to his podcasts. And he's a local artist, so yeah, go follow him. And go follow WeWork. Well, I don't think WeWork, No, WeWolf. WeWolf Miniatures streams, but go to the website, look at the historical minis that he does, and look at the Land of Oz that he does. He does sculpt them, He does cast them, and he does it with metal, so he's old school. And I mean, I absolutely love metal miniatures. So, and he's doing birds, so you know where I'm going to be pulling from. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to raid out to a very, very fantastic streamer and artist. I can't tell you how awesome this person is and an artist. I got to see some of their stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to AD Creations 24. WeWolfMiniatures.com, you got it. Thank you very much, Wargamer Recon, for sending me that link. It's awesome. Maybe I'll just make you a mod, and you can mod my channel. We're gonna go see AD Creations because they are just a pleasure to watch. They're knowledgeable. If you want to know about paint, if you want to know about artistic paint, if you want to know about awesome miniatures, this is the place to go. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go see AD Creations, and I hope to see you behind the brush. Have a good night, everybody.
Where does it show my indigo? Where's my indigo? No.